EQAO questions typically come with either 2 parts or 3 parts for students to go ahead and answer. Let's take a look at the following example. Explain why the animals in the pond behave differently than the cow. That's the first question that's required of students to answer. So I modeled for them the need to include a success criteria checkbox that they can utilize once that question has been answered. Let's move on. Now the question requires students to use details from the poem, so supporting evidence from the text. So that's the second component that students need to address, as well as incorporating their own ideas to support their answer. So this particular question has 3 parts. Notice that I've included 3 success criteria checkboxes that can be checked off once these components have been completed. Another key success criteria checkbox I've mentioned for students to go ahead and incorporate into their answers is a reminder to use the words in the question to start their answer. We affectionately use the acronym UWQSA. So in the case of this question, explain why the animals in the pond behave differently than the cow. We could utilize the words, the animals behave differently because, in order to start off our answer in an effective, coherent way. There's yet another key success criteria checkbox that I've suggested for students to go ahead and incorporate into their work. And that's a reminder to use our proofreading plan, otherwise known as OPP, after every sentence that they write. Students don't want to be put into a position where they've written and responded to all 3 parts of this question and then have to erase because everything that they had just written was nonsensical. Now it's time to review some of the hacks, if you will, that can help students save some time as well as some room when responding to short answer questions on EQAO. One key tip that I've suggested for students to do is to stretch the margins. Start slightly off the line. Start responding to those 3 questions slightly off this line over here. And certainly as you write, continue slightly off the line over here. It's amazing how a few letters in this space and this space, when squeezed in and those margins stretched, can save you some room at the very end when you might be struggling to fit in all sorts of different information. I've suggested for students, if they're citing, let's say, a paragraph within a given text to support their answer, that they can also save some room by going ahead and using the paragraph symbol, this sort of double P, if you will, when offering up proof. In this case here, though, this question relates to a poem. So the key term that we want to use is either the line, which can be abbreviated, and room saved using the abbreviation LN. Or students perhaps can go ahead and utilize the word stanza, or the letter S to save some room. Students have also been suggested to go ahead and utilize the caret symbol and perhaps go ahead and include a few words over and above their response to steal and borrow a little room over here. After all, teachers who are evaluating the EQAO test oftentimes have anywhere from dozens to hundreds to mark in a given day, and they've been instructed to not read past this point. So any room saved is really valuable. Let's take a moment and visit our EQAO webpage, where we have all sorts of useful sentence starters to help students go ahead and support with ideas from the text. Take note of the various sentence starters that are available here that students have been familiarized with throughout the course of the year. It offers students a chance to cite exactly where the proof from the text can be found. And there's follow-up, where students can go ahead and unpack that proof and explain its validity and relevance in relation to the question that they just answered. Throughout the year, I've stressed to students the need to go ahead and specifically mention as to where the supporting evidence from the text can be found. But that simply isn't enough. It's pivotal for students to go ahead and unpack its validity and relevance in relation to the answer that they provided. Consider the following analogy. Suppose somebody has been arrested and accused of robbing a bank. The prosecutor first stands in front of the judge and jury and holds up evidence taken from a security camera. They tell the judge and jury that on this given DVD, you will see the accused robbing the bank. The prosecutor does not stop there. They further unpack the evidence. They might point out the color of clothing that the accused wore that given day on camera and match it to clothing that has been seized with the use of a search warrant from their house. They may use facial recognition software and show that the face seen on the DVD matches the accused sitting in court. So once again, it's really pivotal to go ahead and explain and unpack what that given information means and proves and shows. There's one more hack that I'd like to present for you under camera over here. I like to call this the timber philosophy. Students who tend to write letters that are rather large tend to write words that are rather wide. I've encouraged students to write their letters so that if a pencil were to go timber and fall atop them, that no part of those letters would be visible above that felled pencil. By utilizing the timber philosophy or strategy, and by writing smaller, a tendency of writing wider will not occur and will save students additional space when responding to short answer questions or various writing tasks on EQAO.